Hey everyone, today I'm going to show you how to vibe code a simple card interaction, which you can do inside of Rise, but this is going to give us more control. So we have things like show a check mark, we can have things like animate in, we can have things like hover when you hover over it, or have a modal show up at the end of it saying that you've completed it. That's where it gives you more control. And using the new code block inside of Rise, it allows us to develop these types of interactions in any way that we want. You can also check out a previous video where I talk about, okay, once you have that interaction, how do you set a complete or restrict the user from moving on until they've completed that interaction? But I wanted to walk you through how to do that. So the tool that we're going to be using, and there's a lot of different AI agents out there. You can do Windsurf, you can do Visual Studio Code, you can also do Lovable, you can do Replit, just so many different tools. But one of my favorite tools is called Cursor. So if you head on over to cursor.com, you can download and get started for free. If you go beyond the limit, that's where you then have to pay, which is a simple $20 a month or something. But just to get started, you can do a lot inside of the free version. So if you click on download, it will download a Mac or a PC version. And then once you have it downloaded, you simply just open that up inside of the tool. So I have my cursor tool here up, and it does need to have a folder somewhere. So that's the initial thing, and you can just take that folder, and I do have my previous project pulled up. I'm gonna go ahead and create a new project. So we're gonna do a new window here and close out my previous window. So here we go. I'm gonna go ahead and click on Open Project. And then I'm going to find that folder on my desktop. This is where all the files are going to be stored. To keep it simple, because you can upload several different files into Rise, but to keep it simple, let's keep all of our code inside of one HTML file. So in the code block over on the right-hand side, I'm going to go ahead and tell that. You can see right here, it is keeping some of my last code. Let's go ahead and just wipe that out. So let's say close all chats. So there we go. If you do want to start from scratch, you can just go ahead and do close all chats or just close chat there. Now, this is where some people get actually hung up, because with Cursor, you do see the HTML file. You do see the code. Some people don't even want to see the code. So you could actually just move that over, just focus on the chat and have the code show up for you. But you do need to at least copy the code into Rise for it to work. So let's go ahead and define one thing. So create a single HTML file. So we need to give it the parameters of, like, we just want to be working like all of our CSS, all of our JavaScript, all of our HTML file needs to go into a single HTML file, which you can do. When you're web developing, you separate those out a little bit just so the code is more maintainable and readable. But in this case, let's just keep it simple. So create a single HTML file that has a row of 4 cards. And when you're defining components and you're talking about, okay, I want a card, I want a modal, those are different things that you can actually look up. Those are web components. We're still using the same components in web developments as we've been doing for years. So it helps you when you're vibe coding to describe it in that same way. Well, how do you get to know those components? There's a lot of different ways. You could actually come into the chat, and instead of agent, you can actually come to ask, and you can say, hey, what are some web components that I can use? One way to visually see some things is I like to go into getbootstrap.com. Bootstrap is a framework that makes it easier to lay out web pages and things like that I've been working with for years. I've created courses on Pluralsight about Bootstrap and everything. But I'm going to go ahead and read the docs here. And then if I go to the left-hand side, there is a component section. In that component section, if I start clicking on some of these, it will give me an idea of these different types of components. This is an accordion. If I scroll down, it gives me different looks of the accordion and different functions. Ignore the code part. But if you come into here, you can see alerts, you can see badges, you can see breadcrumbs, you can see the different types of buttons, you can see the cards as well. These are cards. You can see carousels, you can see drop downs. This helps you get to know the components. And once you know the components, you're then able to ask for it inside of whatever AI agent that you're working with. So let's go back into Cursor here. And we're going to say a row of 4 cards. Now that we know that the card is kind of like you can even think like a flashcard or something, but that is a card. A row of 4 cards that has some text on the front of the card and then some text on the back of the card. When you click on it, it should flip the card and show a check mark on that card. Now, I talked about there's really two different modes in vibe coding. You can check out that video here. First mode is implementing, where you're creating new features, you're iterating on these new features as well. That is the first mode of vibe coding. That's the mindset that you're in, is you're creating something new and you're making sure that it's good. The second mode is debugging. That means that you're working with it, you're testing it, and you're finding issues with it, and you're going back and forth with the AI agent to fix those issues. In this mode, because we're creating this from scratch, we are in the implementing mode. So go ahead and check out that video here. But you can see that it's created that HTML file right here. That is the HTML file. Like I mentioned, you don't even need to bring up that HTML file to keep iterating it. There is an extension inside of Cursor. If you come into the extensions up on top here, so right here, so if you go select this drop-down box and go into extensions, there is something called Live Server. If you select Live Server, what will happen, you do, in this case, do need to go into HTML, and I'm going to click on Keep All. It does ask you if you want to keep the changes that you've made. I'm going to click Keep All. But once I have the Live Server installed, down at the bottom, all I have to do is click on Go Live. As soon as I click on Go Live, you can see that it gives me a preview of those cards. We have a couple problems. The first problem is the initial card kind of blends into the background. So it has the same color as the background. That's problem number one. Problem number two is you can see that the check mark is backwards. So I'm still implementing, I'm still iterating. So I do need to go in and tell it to say, hey, change this or change that. And what I find is if you give it too many instructions, it could just ignore some of those instructions. So just like a person where you go in and say, hey, focus on this feature. It does take more credits, but it's going to save you a lot of headache. And it's going to make something that is more reliable and more secure than having to give it a list of types of instructions. And you're going to pull your hair out a lot faster. So let's go ahead and focus on one thing. We're going to focus on the front of the card. The front of the card kind of blends in with the background. Change the front card color to be something that stands out, but still complements the background. I want to go ahead and do that because thinking about UX, the user experience, we still want a good like a UI. We still want a user interface that looks good, but I want it to stand out a little bit more. So this is where adding those types of terms of like still match the color, don't have it be way off, but I want it to stand out a little bit. So let's go ahead and just focus on that feature right now. So we're iterating that feature before we move on to like the check marks. And then on top of that, we'll start adding things like, oh, then show a modal at the end of it, show a message, or show like a little banner down at the bottom. Those are things that you start to, as you start to work with it, you start to implement those features one by one. So there we go. It tells me what the change was. I can go ahead and click on Keep All, and then I can preview it. And let's just see that. And you can see it's more of an orange color now. That works for me. You can see that the back is more of a pink color. If I wanted to change it just to white, I can change it to white as well. But now let's go ahead and iterate to the next feature where we're going to have something show up. We're going to have a message show up at the end of it. If you define it like a modal, it's going to function exactly like a modal. But if you don't define it, it may interpret it the way that's, or come up with the solution itself. So it depends on how much back and forth you want to go. So let's go ahead and not define it first of all. So let's say I need to show a message, so not specifically a modal, but a modal is like a little alert that grays out everything else in the background. You still see it, but it's kind of grayed out there. So I need to show a message when all 4 cards have been visited. So I'm leaving it up to the AI agent to be able to implement this. Now, there was a time where I was running a group of developers and we were creating a lot of custom learning interactions. And this is exactly how I went back and forth with the developers. They created something for me. I went and tested it and said, can you change this? Can you add that? Can you do that? So really AI is your team in this case, where you are telling, you're working with AI to go back and forth to be able to create these different features here. So you can see right here, there's my message in the HTML file. I don't even need to read the code there, but it does give me a brief overview of what's going on. I can go ahead and click on keep all. Because I already previewed it live, all I have to do is flip back to the browser and then it automatically updates everything. That's one of the nice features about that. Now I haven't said to change the check mark, so we'll do that here in a second. But you can see right here, congratulations, you visited all 4 cards. Now I can click anywhere out there, but that's where you start to interact with it and you start to iterate some more. Oh, show a message to close. Or once the message shows, make sure that you can't click anywhere else to close that message. Those are things that you're starting to iterate on. But let's fix the check mark here. So going back into cursor, I'm gonna say the check mark when you visit a card is backwards. Now what does help sometimes is taking a screenshot of it. So inside of a Mac, when you take a screenshot and it shows up down at the bottom, you can just drag it right there and then you can just click enter. On a PC, you would use the snippet tool, save it on your desktop, and then you can just drag the image in, or you can actually go and click on this image, upload image, and it will upload the image there as well. So let's click keep all. And I could preview it before I clicked on keep all, that's up to you. But now if I click on this, you can see that the check mark is not backwards anymore. So we're doing things step by step, one at a time. That is really vibe coding. Now, if I come across something that is a bug or something that happened, let's go ahead and actually, just to show you this, let's go into the JavaScript part, and you don't have to do this part, but I'm gonna go into the JavaScript part and I'm gonna go ahead and get rid of like a message there, or just make sure that there's an error somewhere. Now, if I come in and I preview this, initially it looks fine, but if I click on stuff, it's not happening. So something is going on. This is where you can check for bugs. So now we're in debugging mode. So you can go through and tell Cursor that it's not functioning. So you could just go in there and say, hey, when I click on the tabs or the cards, nothing is happening. You can do that, or you can actually right click into here and go into inspect elements or just inspect, and there is a console. If you go into console, you can see all of the errors right there. I'm going to go ahead and just copy those errors. And so I'm going to select all of them and then go into Cursor and say, I am getting some errors when I preview. So I'm not looking at the code specifically. I'm just copying the errors, and then I'm going to paste inside here the errors. So let's go ahead and do that. It is then going to look at the code for me, and it's going to implement a fix. So if something is going wrong, you're basically just pointing the AI agent saying that I'm getting these errors, and it will go through and fix the code for you. That is debugging mode. Or if I would say debugging is also like UI testing. Like you go through and test it exactly how the learner's going to test it. You go through on the different browser sizes and test that as well. So you're trying to break the interaction. That is another important part. So you can see right here, it is showing that, oh, this is the fix. So let's go ahead and click on keep all, go back in here, and you can see so far we're not getting any errors. So if I click on it, it's fixed. So that is 2 different modes, implementing new features and then debugging the features as well. So let's go into our code, and all we have to do is copy in our code, go into Rise here, and let's add on a custom block. So I'm gonna go add a custom block here, go into add code, and then inside of here, let's just go ahead and just paste in our code. Now it will automatically resize. If I just click anywhere else out of here, it'll automatically resize depending on the content that you have. If you want to give it a little bit more room, you can actually uncheck where it says auto resize here, and then you can give it a little bit more room, and you can see that this is centered there. So that is some of the nice things. If you wanted to just resize to the content that you have, great, it'll do that automatically. But if you wanted to actually give it a little bit more breathing room, then you'll just go in and expand it out. So now it's working, everything is working inside of there. And you can see we get our alert, everything is good there. Now beyond that, if you wanted to prevent the user from moving on until they've clicked on all 4 cards, that's where you want to check out this previous video, and that will show you exactly what you need to do next in order to have that show. If you like this video, head on over to my YouTube channel, click the like button, subscribe to my channel, as well as hit the bell notification so you get notified of all future videos as they come out. that really helps my channel, allows me to reach more learning developers to help them expand upon what comes out of the box inside of these e-learning tools. And that is really one of my goals, is to help people go beyond what comes out of the box. And really, vibe coding enables you to do a lot more. And I highly recommend it. If you also want to check out more resources, you can head on over to my website at learningdojo.ninja. You can check out apps that I've created to help you as a learning developer. You can also check out full courses covering everything from A to Z. We dive into JavaScript, the JavaScript basics. We cover XAPI fundamentals and how to track your content. We also cover Rise, Articulate Rise, Custom Scorm, and more. I also have my community and my recent blog posts. You can join the community and discussions. And you can also download free templates. That's all I have for today. So thanks everyone. I'll see you next time.